Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I am extremely grateful to Mr. Virappa Moile and several other honourable members who have spoken at length in the course of this debate. The actual number of members who have spoken is very large. And obviously because this bill, once it becomes an act and is implemented, has a significant impact on the taxation methodology of India. The system that we initially adopted is a system which we are now trying to restructure. In our system that exists as of today, there are multiple indirect taxes. We can keep the direct tax, income tax, and a custom duty which deals with flow of goods into the country come out of this. But other than these two taxes, there are several multiple taxes. So anybody who's engaged in an economic activity will have to, if it's manufacturing, pay excise duty to the center. If it is services, he'll have to pay service tax to the center. For sales, he'll have to pay VAT to the state. Then there'll be entertainment tax, there'll be luxury tax, there'll be entry tax, there'll be octroi in some cases. And these are several multiple taxes. The interface of each person doing economic activity is with multiple assessing officers. तो एक व्यक्ति जो व्यवसाय करता है उसको multiple assessing officers के पास जाना पड़ता है. And the nature of economic activity today is changing because a number of these taxes by their nature are converging. Let us take an example. Somebody wants to buy a flat. For the steel, cement, sanitary fittings, electricity fittings, these are manufactured goods, he will have to pay excise. For the architect, he will have to pay service tax. For the contractor, he'll have to pay service tax. Now, how are these to be fixed? And then if a person is doing an all-India activity, even though in 1947 we became a political entity, India remained different economic entities. Every state has its own tax, and the tax rates are different. A lot of economic resource is lost when we enter a state. We see trucks waiting outside. बाहर ट्रक्स प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं, दिनों दिन तक घंटों घंटे प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं. There is no free flow of goods and services in the country. Now, the object of the GST when it was conceived was, can we have one tax and each assessee has only one interface with one assessing officer? Out of that one assessing officer also, the IT backbone must be such that most of the assessments are self-assessments, except some limited audit cases. It should become a more efficient tax, which is not easy to breach, so compliance is higher. And additionally, the other advantage is, when goods or services flow from one part of the country to another, today you don't get the input credit for tax already paid. जो टैक्स आपने एक स्टेज पे दिया है उसका आपको इनपुट क्रेडिट बाद में नहीं मिलता. सो उसकी वजह से जो टैक्स कंपोनेंट दिया है उसके ऊपर भी टैक्स लगता है, जिससे इन्फ्लेशनरी ट्रेंड बढ़ता है. और इसलिए यह विचार आया कि सारे देश को एक इकोनॉमिक मार्केट कर दी जाए, सारे देश में एक यूनिफॉर्म रेट हो, एक असेसी का एक अधिकारी के साथ केवल इंटरफेस हो, उसमें भी अधिकतर केसेस सेल्फ असेसमेंट के हो जाएं, जो केवल कंप्यूटर सिलेक्ट करेगा उनका ऊपर आप स्क्रूटनी या ऑडिट के लिए जाएं, और एक सरल व्यवस्था देश के अंदर लाई जाए। अब इस सरल व्यवस्था लाने में जो संवैधानिक ढांचा था उसमें एक बदलाव की आवश्यकता थी। और जैसा मैंने आरंभ में टिप्पणी में कहा, एंड मिस्टर मोइली, दिस इज द बेसिक आंसर टू अ डाउट विच यू raised, and Mr. Salim also raised that doubt, because the Constitution of India clearly divided the power between the center and the states. You have the central jurisdiction, which is the central list. You have a state jurisdiction, which is the state list. And you have a concurrent list where both don't exercise power simultaneously. If the center exercises it, that power prevails. If the center doesn't exercise it, it allows the state, then the state can do it. So in the original constitution, it's divided between white and black. That either the center exercises the power or the state exercises the power. In division of power, there was no gray area. The GST idea actually created the gray area. And the gray area is that you will have a tax which will be jointly imposed by the center and the states. It will be one tax. The center and the states will all merge their taxes into that one tax. So when Mr. Moily raises the question, what happens to entry tax, what happens to purchase tax, have no illusions, they will all go. They will all go. In fact, an expert committee has been appointed how those bottlenecks are to be removed so that there is free flow of goods and services. So all these smaller taxes and harassment day to day before every authority has to go. So the center and the state have both pooled their power into one tax and said, let us jointly administer this tax in the larger interest of the country. Now, when you say the parliament, you are right, has the plenary power, so do the state assemblies. After all, there is a shared sovereignty between the center and the states. Just as this house is elected, so are the state assemblies elected. They also have the power. They have also agreed that henceforth what the rates in my state are, because we are agreeing to a joint administered tax, we will jointly decide that future. And therefore, in the process, we have created India's first federal decision-making authority. And the first federal decision-making authority is that the center and the states will sit together. The states have a 2/3 vote. The center has a 1/3 vote. The majority required is 3/4. And by this method of pooled sovereignty, the center and the states will jointly decide what the taxation rates are, how the laws are, how they are to be administered. And this is in the larger interest. Now, what will be the effect of this? Today, when you have tax on tax, there is a cascading effect. So the goods become costlier. Now, once all that is removed, the goods will become slightly cheaper. So the whole idea, does this parliament, so when the idea of GST was created, states and center have both pooled their sovereignty into the council. Article 246A says both have the power to impose the tax. The recommendation of the law and the rates will come from the council. That recommendation is a condition precedent. Now let us assume we follow Venugopal's advice and his last comment he made. There are 29 state assemblies, 2 union territories with legislature and 1 central parliament. All 32 to say, I will make 2 or 3 amendments to whatever is suggested. So you will have 32 different laws. You will have 32 different rates. So you can forget about GST. The very fact that you have decided by virtue of the Constitution amendment, and there is no conflict between Article 265 and Section 9. Let us not rake up these created controversies. Article 265 simply says, no tax shall be levied without authority of law. So every tax must be backed by law. What is the law? Article 246 says that there will be a goods and services tax which can be imposed by the central and the state governments. The central government will create the CGST law. The state governments will enact the SGST law. So once these laws are implemented, this is the authority of law. And therefore, this is the authority of law which is in accordance with Article 265. Please listen. Sir?
Yes. Please, please. Let him complete, then you come.
Sir?
Yes, please,
Sir?
please. Please, please.
Sir, let us have a clear understanding of this, Mr. Banerjee. Article 269A says the rates will be recommended by the council. It's very clear in the constitution that we have amended. So the rates are to be decided by the council. Now, once they are decided, recommended by the council, when every finance minister of every state presents his budget in the state, and when the central finance minister presents his budget in parliament, aren't his own rates and revenues then in that finance bill that he'll pass going to be recommended, find a mention? Every state's budget is going to say, भाई ना इस बार तय हुआ है कि जीएसटी रेट 16% होगा या 15.5% होगा. तो पार्लियामेंट्री कंट्रोल तो उसका रहेगा, लेजिस्लेटिव कंट्रोल उसका रहेगा, लेकिन एनार्की खड़ी करने का बेस्ट सबसे सरल तरीका यह है कि जो जीएसटी काउंसिल में तय हो 32 के 32 लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडीज कह दे अब हम अपना अपना रेट तय करेंगे, तो फिर भूल जाएं जीएसटी क्यों आएगा. इसलिए जब आपने एक नई व्यवस्था, आप एक बार मोइली साहब इसमें कंफ्यूजन में मत रहिए. यह कानून मैंने नहीं बनाया, केंद्र ने नहीं बनाया, मेरा तो 1/3 वोट था. 7 कांग्रेस पार्टी के फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर्स हैं जिन्होंने सर्वसम्मति से अपनी सहमति दी है. इसलिए उसके लिए आपको शर्मिंदा होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. दैट इज द क्वेश्चन. एवरी
Please. Nothing will go on record
Therefore,
like this. No, I'm sorry.
Therefore,
Yes. Not
and obviously in the budget it will come up before you.
Please, nothing will go on record like this. Only minister's statement.
Mr. Banerjee,
Without my
Mr.
permission,
Banerjee,
nobody can.
the short answer to
Please.
the short answer to your question is, when every finance minister presents his budgets, the rates are obviously going to come in for parliamentary control or the state legislative control.
Please. बैठिए.
The annual financial statement,
No, please don't like this. Not like this. Let him complete, not like this. Please. Kalyan ji. Kalyan Banerjee. No, without my permission you should know. I know. Let him
now,
complete.
madam, Madam,
This is not like this debate. You have already spoken. Let him in.
Madam,
I know.
I am extremely grateful. Sir, not only you, Mr. Banerjee, not only you, every political party here, every political party has not only supported it, they are privy to its draft also. Let's be clear about this.
Yes.
Agree for a while. Only simple question is, who gave the power or who empowered the GST Council to make law under Article 265 of the Constitution of India? Would like to know about it. Whether the GST is the authority to make law under Article 265? If the Article 265 you want to amend and empower the GST Council, we don't mind. That kind of a power has not been given to the GST Council.
Yes.
And how can you say that it is a law? Because article, ultimately it will have a lot of other repercussions. Then you make GST Council or the central government tomorrow, you say that all this money will be kept in a separate fund, not in a consolidated fund.
Yes.
A lot of problems will arise. Who will protect the fund?
Let us,
Who will protect the taxes? Because consolidated fund is not out of air, it is out of the taxes collected. Those taxes collected by under your own law, not by under the Constitution.
Sir.
In that case, what follows?
Madam, the
it
answer
cannot
is,
go to the Consolidated Fund
Now,
of India.
please
And so many other repercussions
Yes,
may
you
take
have
place.
raised your matter. Listen.
the answer to Mr. Moili's question is very simple. The GST Council has been given the power to make a recommendation with regard to the model law. Who gave that power? The Constitution Amendment gave that power. Please.
Yes,
answer.
recommendation.
The GST Council got the power under Article 279 capital A to make a recommendation with regard to the model law. Please.
Please.
On basis of that recommendation, this Parliament, under Article 246A, with regard to the laws within the central Parliament's jurisdiction and the state legislatures within Article 246A, with regard to laws within their jurisdiction, get the power to frame those laws. The plenary power to frame a legislation can only be with Parliament or a state legislature, as the case may be. Let's not there be any confusion. But all that I said in the beginning, and I'm repeating it, while framing that law, we will have to be guided by those federal considerations which have prompted us all to unanimously accept the idea of the GST. There will be parliamentary control, there will be control of state legislatures on annual financial statements, on the rates which are included in the finance bill. Those will again be the recommendations of the Council. Ordinarily, those recommendations are to be acted upon. And the consequences of not acting on those recommendations is, we can refer it back for reconsideration. But not acting upon is that if then everybody decides to fix a separate rate or frame a separate law, then pragmatically and practically the implementation becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible. Therefore, read Article 246 capital A and Article 279A harmoniously. And therefore, the authority of law that Article 265 talks of is law as framed under 246A, which Parliament or state assemblies will approve on the recommendation of the GST Council. That is the harmonious reading and the only reading of the Constitution that is possible. Any other interpretation, and let me tell you, what are the consequences? There are a number of regional parties present here. And all those regional parties, some of which run governments in states. No, I'm extremely glad, Mr. Moily, you say that. Because with all the state governments, irrespective of the political color of the party in power, once you arrive at a federal arrangement, then the center has to lead by example in following that federal arrangement. Then if one of the contracting parties, certainly not the center, says, I unilaterally decide to get out of it, it's not a great precedent for federalism that we are setting. And in these initial stages, the idea that we can deviate, or we should deviate, we can ask for a reconsideration if we have a separate view, but deviation would be highly inappropriate and ill-advised. That's all that I have to say. Now, you have raised several issues, Mr. Moily, and said, why must we have multiple rates? We've gone through this issue in the past. अब मल्टीपल रेट्स को की क्या आवश्यकता है? और इस देश में अगर मल्टीपल रेट्स नहीं होंगे, if there were no multiple rates, it would become a highly regressive tax. And I'll give you the reason for that. इस देश में बहुत सारी कमोडिटीज हैं, विशेष रूप से खाद्यान्न की, जो जीरो रेटेड होंगी, जिनके ऊपर टैक्स न लगना चाहिए न लगेगा, और इसलिए हम तय कर दें कि एक रेट होगा 15% का, और आपके 50% आइटम्स ऐसे होंगे, मैं उदाहरण के तौर पे 50% कह रहा हूं, जो फूड आइटम्स हैं, हम उसके ऊपर 15% लगाने लग पड़े, संभव नहीं है. तो यू हैव टू हैव अ जीरो रेट. उसके बाद कई कमोडिटीज ऐसी हैं जिसको आम आदमी या गरीब आदमी जिसका प्रयोग करता है, उसके ऊपर राज्य या केंद्र बहुत मार्जिनल टैक्स लगाता है. कुछ कमोडिटीज ऐसी हैं जो बहुत महंगी हैं. अब मान लीजिए कोई राज्य बेबी फूड के ऊपर वैट लगाता है, तो उसको क्या 18%, 28% में डालें? आप यहां 0 में डालेंगे या 5 में डालेंगे? लेकिन अगर कोई BMW गाड़ी इस्तेमाल करता है, तो उस पे और हवाई चप्पल पे, उस पे या बेबी फूड पर एक तरह का टैक्स तो लग नहीं सकता. कौन सी वस्तु ऐसी है, कौन सा वर्ग उसको प्रयोग करता है, उसके टैक्स का रेट उसके साथ होना चाहिए. और इसलिए इस देश में जो पहले आपकी पार्टी ने एक बार कहा था संविधान संशोधन से पहले कि एक स्टैंडर्ड रेट हो, वो 18% से कम हो, तो यह तर्क हमने तब भी दिया था कि एक रेट होना संभव नहीं है. और इसलिए सर्वसम्मति में, जिसमें हर राज्य का फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर था, उन्होंने कहा इसका सरल फॉर्मूला यह है कि आज जो गुड्स और सर्विसेज के ऊपर टैक्स लगता है, राज्य कितना लगाता है, केंद्र कितना लगाता है, उसके नजदीक कौन सा ब्रैकेट है, जो उसके नजदीक का ब्रैकेट है, उसके अंदर फिट कर दिया जाए. मान लीजिए हमने 2 स्टैंडर्ड रेट रखे, 12% और 18%. आप राज्य और केंद्र का टैक्स कुल योग करके 10% या 12% या 14% बनता है, तो उसको एकाएक 18% कर दें. उससे तो इन्फ्लेशन, मुद्रास्फीति बढ़ेगी. दैट विल बी हाईली रिग्रेसिव बिकॉज इट विल बी इन्फ्लेशनरी. तो इसलिए उसको 12 में डालो. लेकिन किसी चीज पर अगर 16 या 17 या 19 या 20 बनता है, तो आप उसको 18 में डाल सकते हो. इसलिए आरंभ में इसमें मल्टीपल रेट्स होना यह अपने आप में ज्यादा सरल होगा. यह सब लोगों की आम राय थी और इसकी सर्वसम्मति की राय थी. एक रेट कर दो या कम रेट कर दो, मतलब किसी कॉलम लिखने के लिए तो अ सिंगल रेटेड जीएसटी, और आप तो व्यंग कर रहे थे देयर आर मल्टीपल रेट्स. फॉर वन कमोडिटी देयर विल बी ओनली वन रेट इन द कंट्री. बट देन इफ यू सेड that for a Hawaii chappal and a BMW car have one rate, then it will be a regressive tax. That is not possible. You will have to have separate rates for them. आपका कहना था No, a lot of comment has been made on one country, multiple rates. मैं आपको then Venugopal ended by saying there'll be multiple cesses. Now, as far as the taxes which are being subsumed into the GST, the cesses will also get subsumed in due course. Have no two illusions about it. But why have we kept the cess? I explained in the morning, for the compensation. The reason being that out of all taxes which come to the share of the government of India, in the first instance, there is a devolution which goes 42% to the states. Then if it's a GST tax, it would be divided half and half between the center and the states. So if we had not followed the cess formula for compensation and followed the taxation formula, then to recover 50,000 crores as tax, which would be paid to the states, assuming 50,000 is to be paid as compensation, the tax levy would have been 1,72,000 crores. क्योंकि उसका 42% राज्य को जाता, बकाया में से 50 राज्य को जाता, 50 हमारे पास आता, तब जाके 50,000 बचता. That again would have been extremely regressive. So this one cess has been maintained because these are all, and when you say any other product, doesn't mean you can add any other. The simple legal precedent is that the general last phrase takes color from the preceding ones. So when it says pan masala, tobacco, luxury cars, it's either luxury products or sin products. There is a well-known legal...
Item number 6 is any supply.
Mr. Prem Chandran, let me give you the legal principle in that. When there are specific A to E and F is any other category, then that any other category has to take color from A to E, which means sin product or luxury product. To be more specific, if you ask any one of your legal colleagues, they'll tell you this is the principle of adjustum generis. It doesn't mean that the last item can be vegetables. If the first 5 items are luxury cars, tobacco, alcohol, or costly items or items disadvantageous to health, then even Kalyan Banerjee would have told you, and he's agreeing with me, thank you, Kalyan, that the last category...
What is the purpose of then any supply incidental to A to so, then it is correct.
This is a well-known art of drafting, that when the general follows the specific, it takes color from the specific. And therefore, if the any other category will have to be in the category of luxury items or sin products, or दादा अब आपको खुश करने के लिए पूरी जूरिस्प्रूडेंस रीराइट कर दें, ये आवश्यक नहीं है. ये वेल नोन प्रेसिडेंट है, आप अपने सहयोगी से पूछ लीजिए. और इसलिए जितने सिन प्रोडक्ट्स हैं या जितने हेल्थ के ऊपर असर डालने वाले प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, उन सब पे 40%, 50%, 65% टैक्स लगता था, तो 28 टैक्स होगा और पहले 5 वर्षों के लिए बकाया कॉम्पेंसेशन सेस होगा, जिससे बिना उपभोक्ता के ऊपर 1 रुपए का बोझ डाले हुए जिन राज्यों को नुकसान होगा उनको मुआवजा भी दे दिया जाएगा. जब यह प्रस्तावना आई थी तो 2 मत थे, काउंसिल में भी 2 मत थे, लेकिन अंत में जब उनको समझाया कि टैक्स के माध्यम से इकट्ठा करेंगे तो देयर विल बी अ बर्डन ऑन द टैक्स पेयर. Let us not put that additional burden and do it by a cess. And therefore, this is one of the few indirect taxes cesses which will remain transient for a period of 5 years, so that this can be used as far as the compensation is concerned. Mr. Moily raised a question, 2 important questions. During the UPA, there was no consensus. And you felt it was only on political grounds. Sir, I have said this in the past, that manufacturing and producing states were dissenting. And that was not only BJP. Within the BJP also there were states which were consuming states which were supporting you at that time. But then you had states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, which are manufacturing states, which said we as manufacturing states are going to lose tax. Because it's a destination tax, the consumption states are going to gain tax. How are you compensating us? You did not provide in your law for a compensation package. The compensation package being absent was a deal breaker. And finally, when we made an effort and we brought in the compensation package, states started coming around. And that's how it made a difference. Again, you have raised this whole issue that why is this a money bill? This bill seeks to replace the central excise law, the service tax law, the VAT law, and the various taxation laws. It consolidates them into one. I dare anyone, and I'm willing to sit down and give you an opportunity, from 1950 when the Constitution came into force, please give me a single example where a law imposing a tax and providing for a machinery of collecting that tax has been anything except a money bill. एक अपवाद बता दीजिए कि टैक्सेशन लॉ कभी मनी बिल ना रहा हो. अगर आप संविधान की भाषा देखेंगे आर्टिकल 110 की, तो 110 says, for the purpose of this chapter, a bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains the following. So the language of Article 110 is so wide that it creates a legal fiction and says that if a bill seeks to impose a tax, it shall always be deemed to be a money bill. Now here is a bill which is squarely a taxation law, which replaces existing taxation laws, and now it has become a customary to say, well, what is a taxation law? And the rationale is that the framers of the Constitution thought that when you have taxation or expenditure laws, then they have to be accountable to the house of the people. And therefore it's a money bill in which the house of people has a special place. And therefore there is not a single illustration where any bill itself has not been a money bill. आपने कहा कि बैंक्स को कठिनाई आएगी. बैंक्स की रजिस्ट्रेशन अगर होती है सर्विस सेक्टर कंपनीज की अलग अलग राज्यों में, बैंक्स ने और आईटी कंपनीज ने कहा कि हमारी सेंट्रलाइज कर लीजिए. राज्यों का मत यह था कि डिसेंट्रलाइज होनी चाहिए. उसको एक्सेप्शन का एक प्रावधान है. अब काउंसिल उस पर तय करेगी कि उसका प्रोसीजर किस तरीके से अंत में जाके चलता है. Some members were uncomfortable about the idea of an anti-profiteering clause. What is an anti-profiteering clause? An anti-profiteering clause is that nobody must have an unjust enrichment because of a taxation. अगर टैक्सेशन में आपको 4% या 5% की छूट मिलती है, तो उस 5% को अपना निजी मुनाफा डाल के अपनी जेब में मत डालिए, उसको उपभोक्ता के साथ पास ऑन कीजिए. So if there is a tax rebate, then it must be passed on to the consumer. That is the anti-profiteering clause which has been there in this law and which is...
Provision is there. Why you have to include it here in GST?
No, in the competition law, competition law deals with an entirely different sphere, Mr. Mehta. Competition law will come in only if there is cartelization, if there is abuse of dominance, or if there is a monopoly or elimination of market competition created. These are the conditions precedent for the competition authority to invoke jurisdiction. Now, assuming, let me just complete. Assuming none of those circumstances of the competition law exist, but because of interpretation of law or what the council fixes as a tax rate, there is some amount of rebate that comes to a particular industry. Now, must that industry pocket that and indulge in unfair enrichment, or must it pass it on to the consumer? The council has thought it wise enough that it should be passed on to the consumer. And therefore, this should have been a provision which should have been uniformly welcome rather than being complained upon by any member.
The complaint is about the authority that you are setting up. What is the need of an authority? You have got the Central Board of Excise.
Please.
All your officers, why do you need a separate authority for anti-profiteering?
Well, anti-profiteering को कोई तो मॉनिटर करेगा ना. मुझे लगता है कि अगर एक्सेसिव प्रॉफिटियरिंग और अनजस्ट एनरिचमेंट रोकने के लिए कोई संस्था बनती है तो हम में से किसी को उससे परेशान होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. सॉरी.
Madam, I had mentioned specifically about this clause 1671, subsection 2, where it is it mentioned central government may constitute an authority or empower an existing authority. तो एग्जिस्टिंग अथॉरिटी है, आपने ये प्रोविजन रखा है, और एग्जिस्टिंग अथॉरिटी इज द कंपटीशन. सो देयर इज नो नेसेसिटी ऑफ हैविंग दिस प्रोविजन इन दिस जीएसटी बिल. दैट वाज माय पॉइंट.
मेहताब जी, वो केवल प्रशासनिक दृष्टि से है कि नई अथॉरिटी बनाए या किसी मौजूदा को इसका काम दे दें, लेकिन एंटी प्रॉफिटियरिंग को चेक करने की आवश्यकता है. 171 क्लॉज के पीछे उद्देश्य केवल इतना है. एक प्रश्न मौली साहब ने उठाया कि रियल एस्टेट को इसमें क्यों ना ऐड किया जाए. मैं आपके साथ मौली साहब पूर्ण रूप से सहमत हूं, कोई इसमें आपका मेरा मतभेद नहीं है. और जो आपने तर्क दिया बिल्कुल सही तर्क था कि रियल एस्टेट ट्रांजैक्शंस में भी टैक्स इवेजन होता है, इसलिए रियल एस्टेट को भी जीएसटी में लाने का प्रयास करना चाहिए. जब आरंभ में, जैसा मैंने कहा कि ये एक फेडरल बॉडी है और राज्यों को साथ लेकर चलना है, तो राज्यों को इस बात की शंका थी कि शायद रियल एस्टेट इसमें आ गई तो राज्यों के स्टैंप ड्यूटी कलेक्शन वगैरह के ऊपर इसका असर पड़ेगा. तो स्टेट्स हैड अ कंसर्न एज फार एज देयर रेवेन्यू इज कंसर्न. Thereafter, the chief economic advisor prepared a paper in which he said the states can keep their stamp duty and other revenues that they get out of it. These are the advantages the states will get. He also made a brief presentation to the council. On basis of his presentation, the government of the Union Territory of Delhi became the first amongst the state governments and accepted that proposal. And the finance minister of Delhi then made a detailed presentation to the council, making a strong case why real estate should be included. Speaking for myself, I supported him, because the nature of discussion in the council has been that the council has never been split on political lines. People, whatever they think the best, people take independent positions. After listening to him and these presentations, the council decided, let the GST be implemented. In the very first year, we will take up the issue of real estate, whether we have to bring it within the consideration itself or not. Same is the position with regard to the petroleum products. With regard to petroleum products and potable alcohol, consumable alcohol, राज्यों का कहना था कि हमारा बड़ा रेवेन्यू इस पे है और हम पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स और अल्कोहल पे अग्री नहीं कर सकते, और एक प्रकार से उस पे आग्रह करते तो वो अपने आप में बात तोड़ने वाला विषय था. चर्चा के बाद राज्यों को हम लोगों ने परसुएड किया कि चलिए हम अल्कोहल को नहीं छूते, लेकिन पेट्रोलियम को जीएसटी के संविधान संशोधन में लाने दीजिए, लेकिन उस पे टैक्स लगाने की जीएसटी काउंसिल की अथॉरिटी तब आएगी जब काउंसिल तय करेगी. So when council decides by a 75% majority. So today petroleum has been brought constitutionally within the GST, but its GST will be zero rated. Once the experiment of GST moves forward, the council will have an opportunity without amending the constitution to decide what is to be done with regard to the petroleum products itself. They are already a part of the constitution. You won't have to amend the constitution. It's now for the executive decision of the council as to when they take it.
Please, please, please.
कई ऐसे चौधरी साहब विषय हैं
जी.
जिनको लेकर जो शंकाएं काउंसिल में हैं, कुछ राज्यों में हैं, तो इसलिए हम लोगों ने भी, मैंने भी ये उपयुक्त समझा अभी तक जैसे काउंसिल चली है कि जिन जिन निर्णयों पे आम राय बन जाए और सर्वसम्मति बन जाए वो निर्णय हम लेते हैं. जिन पे सर्वसम्मति नहीं बनती, वोट के माध्यम से हम अभी प्रयास नहीं कर रहे निर्णय करने का और ना करने वाले हैं. इसलिए जब आम राय बनेगी, इस अनुभव को आगे सफल होने दीजिए. मुझे लगता है धीरे धीरे जैसे वैट के साथ राज्य माने थे, एक एक करके जो 2-3 आइटम्स बाहर हैं वो धीरे धीरे अपने आप उसमें आने लग पड़ेंगे. A question was raised with regard to some provision with regard to the transition stage, because people will still be learning this aspect. There is already section 128 which deals with the transition itself. A question was raised by Mr. Mehtab कि IGST, and I was very surprised it came from you because you represent a regional party. You represent a state, a regional party which governs a state. You are right, the view of the revenue service was that as far as the IGST law is concerned, it has to be entirely centrally administered. And the reasoning they gave was from the language of the Constitution itself, as also the fact that if there is a dispute between two states, then one of the two states should not become the adjudicator. This issue was discussed at length, and by a unanimous decision, we arrived at an arrangement that if you see Article 258 of the Constitution, if the center has to perform a taxation function, which under IGST we can perform under the Constitution, the center is empowered to delegate it to one of the states. So there will be some cases of IGST which the states will administer, because one of the ideas also is to decentralize. And where there are some kind of complications of a conflict of interest between a state can arise, some cases have been defined, those cases then will be adjudicated by the center. And that is the reason why we decided to share the authority, and many regional parties, including West Bengal government and regional states, were very particular on the sharing of this power with the states itself and did not want center to exclusively have this power. So notwithstanding a view which was taken by the IRS, we decided by a unanimous consensus to divide the sharing of that power itself. You've raised a question with regard to the authority of the CAG. This issue was discussed at length in the council. No, it was there in the draft. In fact, the CAG at one stage was of the view that that power must be mentioned here. The council took an alternative view. जो CAG की अथॉरिटी है वो संविधान में से आती है और CAG के एक्ट में से आती है, वो टैक्सेशन लॉ में से नहीं आती. किसी भी टैक्सेशन लॉ में CAG को टैक्सेशन लॉ के तहत पावर नहीं मिलता. I then had a meeting with the current CAG and I conveyed to him the views that your authority remains unchallenged or unchanged, but your source of your authority is the Constitution, as also the provisions of the Act itself, of the CAG Act, and that jurisdiction remains, और therefore हर taxation law में CAG को separately empower करें इसकी आवश्यकता नहीं है. एक विषय बार बार उठा कि इस कानून में एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को डिफाइन करने की क्या आवश्यकता थी. एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को डिफाइन करने की यह आवश्यकता थी कि आपने सेक्शन 23 में एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को रजिस्ट्रेशन से एग्जेम्प्ट किया है। क्योंकि उसको एग्जेम्प्ट किया है, इसलिए परिभाषा में आना कि कौन है कौन नहीं है, विस्तृत चर्चा के बाद इस परिभाषा के ऊपर चर्चा हुई और यह फॉर्मुलेशन बना।
कि ये कल्टीवेटर लिखा है, पोल्ट्री, डेयरी, ये भी एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट की काम है।
देखिए उसमें
शेयर क्रॉप के बारे में बिल्कुल चर्चा ही नहीं हुआ है।
नहीं ऐसा नहीं
और
है।
ये एक एक्ट है इन वेस्ट बंगाल कि कौन शेयर क्रॉपर हो सकता है, और इस हिसाब से बैंक से उनको लोन भी मिलता है। एंड इट इज वन ऑफ द यूनिक लॉ विच शुड बी अडॉप्टेड इन अदर स्टेट्स ऑल्सो। एंड इसमें ज्यादा दिक्कतें पंजाब में होगा, हमारे हरियाणा में होगा, ये तेलंगाना में होगा। मैं आई एम नॉट मेंशनिंग अबाउट बिहार एंड यूपी, but this will be a greater cause of concern. That is a greater cause of concern.
चंद्र,
उसको एग्जेप्ट नहीं किया जाएगा। दूसरा, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी हमारे नजूल लैंड होती है, गरीब लोग कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी के जरिए जमीन चलाते हैं, काम चलाते हैं। तो अगर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी को एग्जेप्ट नहीं किया जाएगा तो फिर तो गरीब लोगों पे ये बोझ पड़ जाएगा। लीज वाले को भी क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहते हैं
कि the definition is there only for the purposes of exemption from registration. If you now look at section 2(7) and look at the definition, it says by own labor, by labor of family, by servants on wages payable in cash or kind, or hired labor under personal supervision or personal supervision of any member of the family. So आपने अगर किसी को लेबर के नाम पे हायर किया हुआ है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के ऊपर और दिया हुआ है, लेकिन इसका ये अर्थ नहीं कि जो दूसरे एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट्स मानते हैं जिनका आप जिक्र कर रहे हैं उन पे टैक्स लगेगा। They probably still will be zero rated. Therefore, the council, when it decided on this definition, उसके पीछे उद्देश्य ये है कि इनमें से ये जो अधिकतर प्रोडक्ट्स जिसका आप जिक्र कर रहे हैं, ये केवल रजिस्ट्रेशन के प्रावधान के संदर्भ में परिभाषा है। वो प्रोडक्ट अभी भी जीरो रेटेड रह सकते हैं, इसकी पूरी संभावना आप उस दृष्टि से मानिए। और इस देखिए, मुझे लगता है कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है,
प्लीज प्लीज प्लीज,
कोई उसमें कंफ्यूजन नहीं है, क्योंकि वो जीरो रेटेड उसमें वो रहने वाले हैं। ये केवल
यस,
आपने जैसे सर्विस,
ओहो, यस,
Question of exemption comes of the agriculturist only when you have to distinguish between agriculturist and agriculturist. That gives room for the discretion of an officer. Why should they register at all? Up till it comes to the mandi. I don't think, you need to touch the agriculturist.
Moili Sahab,
After
I
it
hate
comes
to
the
disagree
next
with you
level,
on every
gets
point
it.
today.
I think there is a lot of confusion which is created.
There
by
is no confusion, the
and a
confusion is
total
only in your mind.
distortion. Total
Because
distortion.
once the
And this is an
council
instrument to harass
takes a view,
and-
sir, once the council takes a view that agricultural production is going to be zero rated, where is the question of any compensation or discretion to an officer?
yes.
So are you presuming? Now look at the, I am sorry to say, look at the kind of state. Are you now presuming that 29 states, 2 union territories and central government all collectively have conspired to harass a particular section, which includes 8 chief finance ministers of your party? Now don't take,
Please, please.
no, you should discuss it. You should discuss it, but don't read into a provision. Don't read into a provision
Please,
something which doesn't
मोहिनी जी,
exist.
हो गया ना आपका पॉइंट कंसर्न हो गया, प्लीज। He has answered. No, nothing now. Nothing will go on record like this. Yes, Minister. Minister, to continue.
Yes, argue. This kind of an argument we cannot buy.
Yes.
Madam, I was referring to the banking provision with regard to exemption from multiple registration. There is an overriding power under section 148, clause 148, which is there. Mr. Galla raised this issue of the difference between may or shall in the matter of payment of compensation to the states. It's already a part of the Constitution amendment itself. And therefore, there is no discretion. And this is collectively to be decided by the Council. So I don't think there is any scope for any apprehension on that score that may will give a discretion whether to pay or not to pay. The Council has adequately gone into this question and come to this conclusion. Now, as far as the rates are concerned, the rates are recommended. The central government only has a ministerial job of notifying the rates. The central government does not decide the rates. Under clause 166, all the rules and regulations which are going to be framed are placed before Parliament, and therefore there is a parliamentary control as far as subordinate legislation is concerned. So one question has been raised as to why the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been kept out. जम्मू और कश्मीर को इसलिए बाहर रखा है क्योंकि वहां की जो संवैधानिक व्यवस्था है, केंद्र का कानून उन पे लागू नहीं होता। लेकिन जम्मू और कश्मीर में उनको अपना एक्ट अलग से बनाना पड़ेगा, जो कि उस व्यवस्था को केंद्र की व्यवस्था के साथ इंटीग्रेट कर देगा, ताकि उनको भी इनपुट क्रेडिट्स का उनके उपभोक्ताओं को या उनके मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को लाभ मिलता रहे। और इसलिए जो पावर टू इशू डायरेक्शन एंड क्लैरिफिकेशंस है, उसके तहत इस प्रावधान को हम तब करेक्ट कर देंगे जब कश्मीर की विधानसभा उसको बनाएगी कि ये जम्मू कश्मीर को भी लागू होगा। दैट देन कैन बी करेक्टेड अंडर द पावर टू मेक द क्लैरिफिकेशन इटसेल्फ। I have explained with regard to the petroleum products also. Broadly, these are some of the important questions which have been raised. Sir, the council is going to be, as I said, a permanent body. And that permanent body is represented by almost every state government, literally represented by every state government. It has a political complexion which accommodates everyone. And it has been our conscious effort to make sure that all decisions are taken by consensus, and that's a formula which we have followed so far, and that is why these drafts have been unanimously prepared by the Council. I would therefore, Madam, through you, commend to this Honourable House that these unanimously prepared drafts should be taken into consideration and approved as they have been approved.
Thank you.